All right, everyone, here we are with another little lesson. Today I am going to walk you from start to finish through our Lego figure project on Blender. Now, this is a really fun project because it shows you how to create a very detailed, very specific type of modeling in Blender using something we call reference pictures. Okay, and so here's what you need to do first before you even start with Blender. In your Google Classroom somewhere, there should be a material in your Google Classwork called Blender Lego Resources or something similar. If you click on that, you will find a bunch of pictures on it, right? And some of it is the schematics of the Lego figure. Some of it is the bodies and the faces of the Lego figure. For right now, what you really need is the two schematics, the Lego back and Lego side figures. As a reminder, to get those images from the Google Classroom, you got to click on the image. You have to click on the three little dots right up here. Open this image in a new tab. And then somewhere here, there will be a download button. So you just want to click and download the first one. Go back here. That's the side view. Open in a new tab. And you're going to download that. Okay, I've already downloaded this, so I already have it on my computer. That's what you want to start out with. If you want to, just we'll come back to the other ones a little later. All right, so I am going to close that. And here in Blender, what I want is I want to go ahead, select this cube here and press X to delete it because I want to start from scratch. And before I start anything on Blender, what I want to do is I want to split my screen up into three different views. To do that, you bring your mouse right up here next to this little icon. Don't click on the icon. And if you go a little too far, it turns into like a little arrow, but right in between, right, it turns into a little cross. What you want to do is click on that cross and drag to split your view. Split it right down the middle. So now you have two views. It's two different views of the same area. We just need that to see our object from different angles. Okay. I'm going to split this one more time. So again, I'm going to go up here, right to this little corner, wait until my cursor becomes a cross, and click and drag down to split it yet again. Okay, so now let me explain what's going to happen with these views. This first one right here is going to be our kind of orbiting view, right? So we're going to be able to move around and see our figure as it's being created. But on these ones, I want a very specific view, and I want this to be along the x-axis and this one to be along the y-axis. And to freeze the x-axis, all you do is you go up to this little gizmo up here and you click on the X. Clicking on the X forces the view to become like really kind of like head-on, right? You will see a blue line and you will see a green line. Anytime if you accidentally move out of that view, just go ahead and click on the X. You always want the X to be in front. On this side, however, you want the Y to be in front. So you go to the little gizmo and you click Y. Okay. Excellent. So in the X, what we are going to do is we're going to add an image reference. Okay. So I'm going to go to add image reference. And I'm going to go to the folder where I downloaded all my Lego figures. In your case, it would probably be in downloads. I already downloaded this and put it in a folder. You can do that as well. But just so that it looks the same as yours, I'm going to go to downloads. I'm going to check if my Lego figure downloaded here somewhere. Let's see. There it goes. So there is an image called Lego back in your downloads. I'm going to add the image. And look. See, if I scroll in, you can see that you can see the image straight on. On this side, you're able to orbit the image. So that's great. Like I said, if you accidentally orbit out of the X view, just click on X again. Now that's what I did on this side, right? Notice that I added the image on this view. Likewise, I'm going to add the side image on the Y view. Add, image, reference, and I'm gonna look in my downloads for the other Lego schematic. Let's see, it is right there, Lego side. Okay, so I added the image. And now I have two views of my Lego figure. Notice that in my kind of view over here, right, they're crossing each other. And what I want to do is I want to fix that, right? I want to click on the front view, go to my transform tool, and then drag this back using the red arrow until it touches the edge. Specifically, the position is going to be negative 2.5. So you can just type it in, negative 2.5. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're going to push it this way, right? Again, that's going to be negative 2.5 on the y-axis. So look, the front image is going to be negative 2.5 on the x-axis. The side view is going to be negative 2.5 on the y-axis. In that way, we have the images corner to corner. Notice that this did not change at all, right? Watch, if I move this back and forth, neither of these views changes, which is what we want. All right, so negative 2.5. There we go. All right, from here on out, what we are going to do is we're going to start building out this little figurine. And we're going to do it in such a way that we are matching the schematic on both views. Let me give you an example of what that means. So the first object that we are going to introduce is going to be a cylinder, right? We're not going to worry about the kind of roundness of the cylinder. I'm going to add a cylinder using the mesh. Here we go. And at first it's going to be really big. And what I want you to focus on is we're going to try to make this cylinder match the head on this view and on this view. It's okay. So first of all, I'm going to press S to scale it down, to make it a little smaller than everything. I'm going to drag it up with the blue arrow. So here what I can do is zoom in and use the hand tool to just get a better view. Same thing up here. I'm going to scroll to zoom in and use the hand tool to bring it up. And so check this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the green node to stretch this out. And I want to match the cylinder on both sides. You see that? How it's matching along this line. It's matching along this line. And I'm going to make it a little bigger so that it matches both of the other two lines, right? And I got to do the same thing on the Y view. So I'm going to use the red node now, and I'm going to stretch this out until it matches both lines. You see what I mean? Like I'm going to make this side of the cylinder match this line, and I got to make this side of the cylinder match that line. So I'm going to put it right there. Right? Great. It's matching on both sides to me. It looks really good. And if you notice, right out here, it's just floating in the end. We're not going to mess with this. All we're worried about it looking perfect on this view and on this view. We are going to add some roundness to this cylinder, right? So we're going to go to the modifier. We're going to add a modifier, generate, and we're going to click on bevel. Okay. Once we click on bevel, we are going to increase the amount to about 0.3, I would say. And then we're going to increase the segments. Let's do something like 10. And magically, look at that. Your Lego head has been rounded. Maybe the amount needs to be a little higher. Let me see how much it needs to be. Yeah, it's going to be around 0.45. See? And now you have your first part of the Lego. It's a Lego head. You made a cylinder, you sized it to the correct size, and then you added a bevel modifier. Perfect. We will continue with the top of the head, right? Actually, let's do the neck first. That one's pretty easy. we're going to add another cylinder. Press S to scale. Bring this up so that it matches. Needs to be a little smaller. There we go. A little thinner. And then let's see, does it match on this side? Yeah, it looks like it matches on that side too. Look at that. So that was really easy. That's just another cylinder, a cylinder inside a cylinder. Let's try the last cylinder up on the top. So add a cylinder. Again, on this view, S to scale. Click. Drag it up. Oh wow, I got it almost perfect. But a good way to do it is just to scale it a little bit smaller so that you're able to kind of scale up to the right size very, very slowly. Notice that I match it on this side, and then I look down and I match it on that side. If you're matching it on the X view and on the Y view, then right over here, it will match perfectly to where it needs to go. Okay, the only thing we really need to do is I'm going to zoom in here. I am going to go into the edit mode because I want to make a hole on the actual cylinder, right? So to go to edit view, you either press tab or you switch to edit mode, either one. I am going to select the faces view, right? Remember, these are the points, the edges, these are the faces. I'm going to go to my transform tool, which I should always be on. Click on the top face. We are going to inset, right? To inset, you right click and you click on inset, or you can press I. But once you click on inset, you just drag this in a little bit. Estimate it around there, halfway through. And then we are going to right click and extrude downwards to make a hole. Now remember, you can always use shortcuts, right? I'm going to Command C to go back. The shortcuts are I to inset and E to extrude. So there it goes. Now we get out of edit mode, and look, we have a little hole on top. I do want to give it a bevel, right? So let's go to the modifiers. Again, these are the modifiers. This is where you find all of your numbers associated with the location, rotation, and scale. But these modifiers add things, and the one we're using is, again, bevel. In this case, we want the bevel to be a lot less, like 0.05 maybe. Let's try it. Yep. And then segments, we'll do 5 segments. Let's do 0.75. There it goes. See, that's a nice little bevel right up at the top. So look, I have the head now. Great. Let's continue with the body. I'm going to move very quickly from now on, right? I'm going to describe what I'm doing. If you need to, you can slow the video down or just replay certain parts. But basically, everything else uses the same tools that you've already learned. All right. It's a combination of doing cubes, right? I'm going to press S to make the cube just a little bit smaller. And I'm going to fit the cube to the shoulders, okay? So I'm going to make this cube as big as the shoulders, no past the shoulders. I'm going to make it as tall as this part of the body. Let's bring it up. There it goes, kind of like that. You see, I'm lining it up to this line and to that line. For the side, for the Y view, I need to make it thinner, right? So that it matches this side and that side. Let's see, put it in the middle, make it a little bigger. Right? Notice how it matches on both sides. Right? On the orbit view, it just looks like a box. It doesn't look like a body. But that's where the edit mode comes in, right? So I'm going to press tab to go into edit mode or switch to edit mode. I am going to be on my faces again, on my transform tool. I'm going to click on the bottom of the box of the cube, and I am going to drag the green node to make this bigger. Notice how I'm trying to match it on this side, right? Notice how when I drag the green on the left, it affects everything on the right until I kind of match it. You see that? That's pretty close. That's really close, actually. Okay. Once I have that, and I make sure that it looks good on all views, I am going to press E to extrude, or right click and extrude, and then bring that box down a little bit. Get out of edit mode into object mode. And now look at that. We have the body of our Lego figure. We need to do the belt, right? This part of the legs, that's kind of the belt. That's very easy. That's just another cube. So I add a cube. Again, I always press S and scale it down so that I can kind of get it out of the way. I bring it down here. I make it the right size vertically. I make it the right size horizontally. That's perfect. And then I do the same thing for the Y view, right? Notice that in the Y view, I need to match it to this edge and to that edge. And so I'm going to drag it out. In the Y view, I usually need to move it a little more, right? And then look at that. You have yourself a belt. Okay. Next part is the little crotch area of your Lego. That area looks like a rectangle, but if you notice the side view, it's actually a circle, right? Which means it's a cylinder. So we're going to add a cylinder. Again, before I do anything else, I need to press S to scale it down so that it's more manageable. I need to bring it down here. I need to rotate this cylinder, right? I need to rotate it on the X-axis. Look, see, I'm rotating it on the X-axis. I want to make sure that it's exactly at 90 degrees. So I'm going to put -90 on the rotation under the object properties. And from there, I'm going to press S and scale it up to the circle on the Y view. Notice I'm trying to match that circle, right? Does that look right? That's pretty close, maybe a little bigger. And then on the X view, right, I am going to make it smaller to make it look like it's a little crotch area. Look at that, see? So you have a cylinder right there. Now, the part that goes across is actually a cylinder that's very similar. And so what you're going to do for that cylinder is we're going to make a copy of this cylinder, okay? So how do you make a copy of something? It's very easy. Command C to copy, Command V to paste, right? When it turns dark orange, that means that you have a copy of your cylinder. You can just move it out of the way. Now, I am going to make this copy a little smaller. So I'm going to press S and just bring it down just a tiny bit. And then I am going to make it longer on the Y-axis and bring it back to the center. Because what I want is I want to make that cylinder go all the way across, kind of like that. See? And you can see right here that it is smaller than the other one, right? So check it out. This is what it's going to look like on your view. You want to make sure that kind of like it crosses a little bit past the rectangle there. But that is the bottom part of the Lego figurine. Next thing to do is the legs. We're going to do one leg first, and then you're going to copy that leg and copy it to the other side. So the way I do that is I'm going to add a cube. Again, let's put it down where the leg is. S to scale, right? You always want to scale it smaller. Start small. And then you want to move to the X view. Let me center that so that you can see what I'm doing. I am going to drag it here, right? I'm going to make this cylinder go all the way up, a little bit into the circle, into the cylinder, but up to the line at the bottom there, and make it bigger on this side. Now, this is not going to match exactly because the original Lego does have a taper, but we'll just estimate it. We'll just kind of put it there, right? Line it up on this side. Don't worry too much about this side. but I'm going to put it there. Perfect. Now I need to make sure that on the y-axis, it matches my leg. It's way too small. It needs to be a little bit farther back. It needs to be a little bit thicker. You see that? And notice that it doesn't cover that side. So I need to make it longer and drag it up a little more. There we go. You see that? And so on this side, it should look like this. Oh, it kind of crosses a little too much. So I'm going to push it forward a little bit. There it goes. Oh, no, maybe this thing needs to be just a little bit bigger. That's what it is. Yep. That looks great. So we have a cylinder. Now, how do we do the foot? Okay, to do the foot, we actually, well, first let me fix a couple things here because I need this to be perfectly aligned. Great. Okay, so now how we're going to do the foot? We're going to click on the cylinder, go into edit mode. Yeah. And what I want to do is I want to use a tool called the loop cut. Okay. I'm going to select the loop cut. I'm going to go to the Y view and look, I'm going to click and drag down to where the feet is. What that does is that splits my cylinder right there, right? Which then allows me to go back to the transform tool. Now again, you need to be on the faces view. So it's really important that you're in the faces view. That allows me to select this face, which is exactly the height of my foot. I am going to press E and then extrude it out to make the foot. You see that? Look, look, look. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to click the front face of the foot and I'm going to press E and drag it out until it matches the leg. There it goes. After that, it's a easy process of Command C, Command V to paste. And that makes a copy of the leg, which allows you to do that. Look at that. So in just a few minutes, you have a pretty reasonable Lego figure. Okay, next thing we are going to do is we are going to do the arms. For the arms, you need another cylinder, right? So here it is. Let's go add a cylinder. Now again, I'm going to move it out of the way. I'm going to press S. I need to scale it down, right? I'm going to scale it down, but I'm not going to rotate it. Okay, so do not rotate it yet. Put it kind of like next to your body. Make it as thick as you think an arm should be, kind of estimate it from here to there. Make it a little larger. Kind of go from the top of the shoulder to where the elbow would be, just like that. You see that? Just like that. Okay, that looks great. What I need to do now is I need to create some curvature in the arm. The first thing I'm going to do is I am going to go to edit mode. So switch from object mode to edit mode. Now, I want to remind you something, okay? Something really important. If you need to create a new object, you always need to be in object mode. If you create an object inside edit mode, it becomes a nightmare. You want to undo that as soon as you can. But we're going to edit the cylinder. We're going to switch to edit mode. I am going to click the bottom here. And I'm going to use a tool called spin. So I'm going to click on spin. I want to spin it along the y-axis. And I'm just going to click and drag it. But you see what it does? It does something a little bit weird, right? So what we need to do is before we do anything, we need to reset the cursor. So I'm going to click on cursor. And I'm going to select this little point right here, right? Like right in front of the arm. Let me try the spin again along the y-axis. And let's see, there we go. And you want to go around just a little bit like that. Great. We're going to switch back to the transform. I'm going to click on the face at the bottom, press E, and then extrude out the rest of the arm. We're estimating here. It doesn't have to be perfect. From there, I need to add a bevel on top of my cylinder. So I'm going to click at the top with my faces view. Now, if I have the top selected in faces view and I switch to my edges view, right here, the node, it automatically selects the edges, which is what I want. Okay, so I'm going to do that again. In faces, I'm going to select the top, and then I'm going to switch to the edges. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to bevel. Now, after you click bevel, do not click again, just drag. Don't click, so don't click, and then you're going to scroll down to make it rounded, right? Once you're happy with your roundness, then you click and that activates the bevel. Look at that. I'm going to get out of edit mode here, back into object mode. That looks pretty great. All right, we need a little cylinder sticking out of there. So we are going to switch to cylinder. Again, scale it down. Now, here's something that I'm going to show you that's really interesting. Okay, right now, no matter where you turn your cylinder, right, the arrows will always point up, down, left, and right. However, we can set the transform orientations to local, and what that does is every time you rotate it, right, now the arrows are pointing in the direction of your cylinder, which makes it really easy to just adjust it exactly where you need it. Right, so I'm going to adjust that right there. You always want to alternate between local and global, depending on what you need. So that just changes the transform orientations. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to leave that like that. We're not going to mess with it. Let me just adjust this a little bit, switch it back to local, drag it up a little bit. There it goes. Switch it back to global. All right, so now we're going to do the claw. The claw is really easy. We're going to add a cube. I am going to make this cube. Oh, you know what? Let's undo that, Command C. Because what I need to do is I need to reset the cursor. Okay, so this cursor right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to X on this side. I'm going to zoom out on that side. I need to put the cursor kind of back in the middle of my objects. So let's click in the middle here, click in the middle there, click in the middle here, right? As long as it ends somewhere in the middle, that's where you want it. Okay, so now I'm going to add a cube. I go to my transform tool, put it back here for a little bit. Go to S, right? Make it small, make it taller, make it wider, make it really thin. Okay, kind of like that. Just like between the body and the picture, we're just gonna keep it there. What I'm gonna do next is I am going to go into edit mode. So I'm gonna go into edit mode. I'm going to select just the front face with my faces. So I'm going to click on faces right up here. I'm going to click on this front face. I am going to click on the spin tool. But before I spin it, I need to change a couple things. The steps, I'm going to change that to 30. Let's see, type in 30. And I'm going to spin around the Z-axis, right? Let me show you what happens when I spin it. I drag this little plus sign and look at that. I create kind of like a claw. See that? Beautiful. From there, we get out of edit mode into object mode. And what we have is a claw that we can then scale and bring into the front of our hand. So this is going to take a little bit of time. Again, you can always switch this from global to local, and then it allows you to kind of mess with it a little bit better. There we go. So we're going to keep rotating it this way, rotating it this way, maybe around there, rotating it this way, rotating it this way, right? And what you want to do is little by little, you're going to move your claw into position. Maybe I do want that in global. Global might be a little bit easier to work with in this case. See that? Little by little, you just bring it in. If you need to make it bigger, you make it bigger, right? The idea is that you create a little claw for your figurine. Very nice. It takes a little bit to put into position exactly. You got to use all different views and all different rotations. But there it goes. That works. You see that? Oh, I did not want this thing to be sticking out. So I'm going to push it this way. Beautiful. All right. Now you have a hand. You select all of the objects using Shift, right? Command C, Command V, global, and copy them to the other side. And now you get to rotate it into place. Is it going to be exact like the schematic? No, but that's okay, right? Because we're just trying to approximate the arm. The arm's a little bit more difficult to get perfect, so we don't have to worry about it too much. But look, just like that, you have the entire Lego figurine. That looks great to me. Okay, perfect. Let's move on to the fun stuff. Now, we're going to do the colors. So we are done modeling. Once you are done modeling, you can literally get rid of all of your views, right? Because you have all of the stuff that you need. The way you get rid of the views is you go back here, and instead of splitting downwards, you split back into the previous view. See? And then it goes pluck, right? So now those two views get merged. And then if I click and drag, now those two views get merged, and now I can orbit, and I have only one view. What I'm going to do after you have your models, your modeling, click on your pictures. We are going to hide the pictures, and then we're going to hide the render. Click on that picture, right? It's called an empty. Hide the view, hide the render, and now you are ready to model and start creating your color. How do you add color for a Lego figurine? Well, easy peasy. You have to be on the fourth viewport shading, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my fourth one. I am going to select piece by piece. So I'm going to select this, go to my material, add a new material slot, change the color. What color am I going to use? I'm going to use, Lego has been putting out some of their Lego figurines with like a darker brown material, which I really like for obvious reasons. I'm going to call this like face brown. Here's the great thing, kiddos. If you want to reuse that same color, you click on whatever you want that's going to be the same. Instead of adding a new material slot, you just click on this little beach ball right here, and then look, you can just click face brown and you have that same color. You don't have to remake it. So I'm going to do the neck in that same color. I'm going to do the hands on that same color. I'm going to do this little thing on that same color. That little thing on this same color. Great. I'm going to give my Lego figurine some blue jeans, I suppose. So I'm going to select that right there, add a new material slot, add a new base color. Let's make it a kind of blue. I like that blue. That's a nice blue, right? Change the name to blue jeans. And do the same thing for the legs. Right? You click on the leg, you click on the little beach ball, you already have blue jeans. You can also make this part the same color, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just change it a slight bit. So it's still going to be a blue, the same kind of blue, but I think I just want to make it a little darker, right? Maybe like that. We'll call that belt blue. I select that belt and choose belt blue. Look at that. Beautiful. You are almost done here. We are going to do the arm. I think I want to make this green. Kind of like a mossy green, a dark mossy green. Maybe, oh, like that. That looks great. Beautiful. On this side, same thing. Oh, I forgot to label it. So I'm going to call this jacket. Let's change it on this side. Let's change this thing. And now I have it fully modeled. One little detail about your Lego figurine is notice how you can see a lot of the sort of polygons of the face. If you don't like that, you can always click on your figurine, right click, and shade it smooth. And that makes it really nice and smooth, right? Sometimes that looks really, really much better. So again, click on your object, right click, shade smooth. And you can do that for a lot of the objects to make them look a little more nicer, shade smooth. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Sometimes you get some weird things like this. Don't worry about that. That's part of the color. All right. Next thing we need to do is we need to add kind of like a body decal and a face, right? Because otherwise your Lego figure doesn't look very real. In the Google Classroom, let me open that back up. Under Blender Resources, notice that I have a bunch of body types and some faces. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to pick one of the body types. Let's do this Lego jacket. Again, open a new tab. I'm going to download the jacket. Note the name. It's called Lego Body 11 Jacket. Okay, you can choose whichever one you want though. And then I'm going to choose a face. Which face do I want? I want this nerdy face. Again, open a new tab, download, and that one is called Lego Face 3 Glasses PNG. Perfect. Okay, let's go back to Blender. First thing I'm going to do is I am going to add the body type, right? First, let me switch this back to shade flat because I'm not sure I like that weird thing that's happening right there in the middle. So I'll just shade it flat. Okay, so now we're going to add the body type. What we're going to do first is we're going to add a plane, right? So add mesh plane. I'm in object mode. I have to be in object mode. So add mesh plane. I'm going to go to the little beach ball on this side. I'm going to add a new material slot. A new material, but this time I'm not going to change the color. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little yellow dot. And I am going to go to image texture. Well, I turns black, so we need to add an image. We need to open an image. What image do we need to open? Well, it's going to be the Lego jacket, right? So let me see if I can find it. It says Lego Body 11 Jacket. That's what I want. I'm going to open it. Bam. Look, there's my jacket, right? Now, as you can see, what you need to do first is you need to make it in the right orientation. So I'm going to rotate it this way, which is going to be 90 degrees. And then I'm going to rotate it this way, right? Which I suppose is going to be 180 degrees. There it goes. And then I am going to press S to scale and push it back until it's right above my body. Just make it so that it's a little bit smaller. Okay. Kind of like that, right? I needed to go from shoulder to shoulder. See that? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into edit mode, right? So edit mode. I want to be in my transform tool. I want to be in my edges, because what I want is I want to select the bottom edge of my picture and make it bigger using the green node. And I'm just going to match it up. Look at that. See? I can literally select the points too and just drag them so that the points are exactly where they need to be. Right? Exactly where the points need to be. And then look at that. You have yourself a Lego decal. I'm going to get out of object mode. What that means is I probably should go back and change the color to my jacket to make it match a little bit more the mossy green of the jacket itself. Let's see. How do we do this? More green. There it goes. Yeah, it's like more of a yellow green. There we go. See that? All right, now let's do the face. The face is very fun. It's the same general concept. We're going to add a plane. Here's my plane. And then this time we're going to add a new material slot. A new material. We're not going to choose a color. We're going to do an image texture. Open the image texture. Go to your downloads. Scroll down. I have a lot of files. You will not have as many. But let's do Lego Phase 3 glasses. You open the image. And here's the image, but you will notice that there's a problem, right? The image is not transparent. Ugh, but we want it to be transparent because we just want the glasses and the face. Okay, the way we do that after you drag in your image is we're going to very quickly go to something called shading. It's this little tab right up here, shading. Ignore everything except for, let's go up right here. I want to connect this alpha to that alpha. As soon as I connect those two, bam, you get transparency. That's all you need to do. We're going to go back to layout. And now we can, again, match where this face is going to go. So I'm going to make sure that my rotations are, let's see, 90, 0, 90. Yep. I am going to put this back here. Bring it up. Whoa. It's way too big, right? So I'm going to scale it down to around there, right? Push it back. But don't touch the last thing. Just kind of use this to align your face. How does that look? That looks pretty good. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to go to edit mode. And in edit mode, using my planes or my faces, I'm going to right click and subdivide this a bunch of times. Right click, subdivide. What I'm doing is I'm adding more geometry to this face, right? You can subdivide it one more time. Sure, make it really, really tight. Go back to object mode. Okay, and now what we need to do is we need to shrink wrap the face onto the head. The way we do that is we select the face. We go to our modifiers. We add a modifier. This time it's going to be a different modifier. It's going to be a deform modifier. Something called shrink wrap. Right there. Bam. Nothing happens. Because you need to select the target object. How do you do that? You click on this little eyedropper tool. And you click on your head. The head cylinder. Bam. And whoa, that looks very weird and very not cool. We need to change a couple of things. We need to change the offset, right? The offset's going to be around 0.05. Let's try that first. a little too much, right? Notice that it comes off just a little bit. Well, let's see what happens if I push this back. Nah, it's not working. Let's do 0.005. There we go. It's getting there. It's getting there. Look at that. And you can spread it out. Let's try something in between. What's something in between? 0.075? Yeah, much better. Look at that. And you have yourself a Lego figurine. All right. You can always adjust the size of your face, match it, and put it exactly where you want. You want to customize your Lego by adding hair or other elements. You can do that. But the very last thing you need to do before you turn this in is you are going to add a floor. Remember, we always add floors to our objects. Let's make it 60, 60.25, and push it down using the blue arrow so that it's right at the bottom of your feet. I'm going to add a slight color to my floor. Just slight. There you go. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add colored lights, right? Because lights really make Blender look realistic. So we're going to add a light. It's going to be an area light. Bring it right up. Make it stronger, 500 maybe. Change the color to the light, make it blue, right? And then push it away because we just want the hint of color, right? We don't want it super close. We just want a hint at the color. See what that does? Look, this is what it looks like without the light. This is with the light. It might be a little too strong. So I am going to put it behind and push it this way. Good. Okay. I'm going to add another light, area light. This one, again, I need to increase the power to 500. Change the color to something opposite. I chose blue last time, so this time I'm going to choose orange. And again, I'm going to push it this way, push it this way, rotate it to hit my person, and there it goes, kiddos. That is a very cool, realistic looking Lego figure. You've done it. All right, so now we need to render this. That's the very, very last step. To render your Blender image, you need to, let's see, we need to click on this little arrow right up here, or you can press N because you need this menu. You're going to click on View. You are going to lock the camera to view, and you're going to access your camera. If you accidentally deleted your camera, you can always add a new camera, but I didn't delete mine, so mine is great. So I am going to set my view to exactly where I wanted. Move it there, use the hand tool to center it. And now I am going to go to Render, Render Image. Wow, look at that image render, looks beautiful. Image, Save As. Call it Lego 1. Put it in my documents. If it asks you to confirm to allow the documents, please put allow. Otherwise, you will lock your documents out. So there's my Lego 1. I'm going to save that image. Beautiful. I'm going to change the view, right, to a different side of my Lego. Right, maybe I can get a little closer. Render image. Beautiful. Render that image. We want to change the name, right? That's going to be Lego 2. So kiddos, you always want to do multiple renders of your Lego figurine, right? Let's make a wider angle one. Put it like that. Maybe make it straight on. Render image. File, save as, Lego 3. All right, so that's it. That's how you create a little Lego mini figurine, right? If you have any questions, I'll just answer your questions when I come back. If you get stuck on anything, don't worry about it. Do as much as you can. You can skip steps here and there if you get stuck, but do try to go back and understand the video and how each of these things kind of works, right? Hopefully that was fun for you, and I'll see you in the next one.